Hello and welcome. This is my base tour in Manufactio Nuclear Edition. If you don't know what Manufactio is, it's a mod pack which is loosely based around Factorio in an alien world with large ore deposits. This is iron, that's copper. Base metals including redstone, coal have these chunks of ore. There's also oil, as you see here. And you have alien nests, bugs, these things, which can basically break blocks. They can climb up walls and quite nasty. Currently in creative, so they shouldn't spawn. The animals have a skin makeover and look completely different, as well as different names. For instance, this is an ogutan, or an or I don't even know how to say that. Onyx. Yeah, so let's get on with the base tour. The premise of the nuclear edition is radiation. Everything in the world creates radiation. So whereas Manufactio number 1 was based around pollution, this is based around radiation. And there'll be short lag spikes as my base comes into view. You have the research bottles and science, and you have science labs, and then you use those research bottles to unlock quests and progress further on through the pack as you go. It's basically a factory building mod pack that requires a considerably sized factory to automate everything. Manual handcrafting is not really a thing when you get so far through. You can manually handcraft to a certain degree, but it's not advised, and it's not really in the spirit of the mod pack. Please ignore these. All the assemblies here were set up with redstone control, but for some reason unknowing, the redstone cables from immersive engineering all vanished. That included the power cables as well. Everything vanished, so I don't know whether something happened on the server or not. Mod pack's main mods are modular machinery and magnetic craft. There is some immersive engineering thrown in here. My power system is solar. We have here 9 solar panel Mark 8s, which produce round about 250 RF tick each, piped into these 2 large batteries. We have a backup system of a tree farm turned into charcoal. That charcoal is then fed into steam boilers to create steam to run these advanced steam turbines. We have 2 hydro plants which supply the purified water to run at most usually just one of these steam boilers. I do have a second one, but that's used as a backup to kick the system in should something run out. We have observatories and what you call this thing, it's a drone bay. Mining drone hub. We have our laboratories, which produce our science. Inside the hashed, see this tile here that goes all the way around here? This is a second logistics pipe network, which is separate to the main one. So everything inside that hash tile there is a separate logistics pipe network. This is our only storage that we have. We store ingots and dusts as well as waste. We don't store anything else in this part of the storage system here. Things like gears and plates, they are stored and pulled direct from the outputs of the machines. So here you have iron gears and iron plates, and this is the storage which logistic pipes pull from. I know a lot of people have a separate cache for this, but why have two storages? I mean, you could make these caches if you wanted to store more, but I don't see any point. So this is our plate and gear and wire making place. For the rare items, we have just a single spot chest, so we don't create surplus items that are not needed. And this one here, which is out of line with all the other ones, yes, done purposely, is our manual press. So there we have our hydraulic press system. Here we have our ore processing system. What would happen is I would go out in the world, I would mine a cache full of ore, come along and I would place it here. And then that would get fed into these 3 grinders, then into these 6 sieves, and then from the 6 sieves it gets put into these ore washers, and then from the ore washers we have so much furnace and so much stored as dust. This section here is our miscellaneous part where we make mostly alloys. For instance, this is steel, this is resin, bronze, alumina. We have our steel parts here. So that's Invar, cobalt steel, and then this is a manual centrifuge for processing waste as and when I need. We have steel made in this blast furnace, crude silicon, and then the bronze ingot furnace just there. Over this side we have 2 sections. This section here is our radaway section, so the creation of ethanol, which is then produced in this chemical plant into slow-acting radaway, and then that's used in this second chemical plant to make radaway. The radaway currently is fed to 2 scrubbers. I only have 2. This one here, which has our redstone uranium, and this is enriched redstone. So that's where that's made, in this one chunk. So this scrubber keeps the radiation down, and the other one is in our nuclear section. Oh, in fact, there's 2 over here, not 1. Which is over here. There is a chunk border between these 2. So this one and this one, both radiation scrubbers. Since I'm over in the nuclear section, here we have our isotope centrifuge. We haven't really got heavily into nuclear at the minute. Now this is our nuclear reactor, which is not used at the current time, and a couple of chemical plants to do the processing. We have our 1 chlorine gas well just here. You can at the moment in the mod pack silk touch the chlorine gas sources and bring them back to your base. This is all connected up to our power system and our logistics pipe network. Let's talk about logistics pipes and how it's the integral part. As you can see here, we have highways down our assembly lines, and then each assembler is connected off the highway, Because the base is spread out so much and not built up in a, like a 3x3 chunk. We have major routes that go from section to section. Some of those routes are actually connected underfloor, and we have 2 instances where high-speed logistics pipes are used. There's another one under here, which is on the underside. It's not as long as that one. So go down here, we can see it. Somewhere around here. Okay, can't find it. Oh, here. It was here somewhere. So we have another high-speed tube which comes all the way over here and connects up. And our lab system is based on logistics pipes requests. So I come to our logistics request table. And if I select the last page, we should see here we have research that we can select. If I select blue and then request, let's request, tell you what, let's just request 40. What actually happens then is all the bottles, they've already gone, are piped into our system. And I believe it's this one that's, no it's not, let's see which one's doing blue. That's doing blue. Right, so it's just this one that's doing blue. So all the bottles are basically piped into these hoppers. I only requested 30, so that they actually went straight into the inputs. And then the required research will come back. And what this has done is it's kick-started the entire system up to replace the blue bottles that were in, which one is it? In here. So we only took 30 out, so it's replacing the blue science that's in here. So you can see all the items which are getting whizzed around the network sent to the assemblers. And that should draw on our power. As you can see now, our advanced steam turbines are maxed out. But our power is managing simply because the solars that are beefing up the system. We have 4 industrial hemp farms, which produces enough hemp to basically make, it's sent to a plant masher to make plant fibre, which beefs up our ethanol system and our fertilizer system, which is over in that bottom corner for these farms. I chose to go manually using pistons. These are all pistons. They've been reskinned by the resource pack, and these are connected via industrial signal timers, and every so often the pistons fire and take the top off the industrial hemp plants. Oh, just missed it. And then they are gathered by accumulators that are set in the middle there above the water block, and then all the items are sent back here, and then those will eventually begin the journey, which is quite a long one. They actually go down that way and come back down the other side, down the other highway, into the plant mashers, which are, whoops, lag spike, into these plant mashers here, which produce the fertilizer needed for the farms. our lighting system is powered by that single wind turbine. We have powered lanterns strewn above the base, about every 1.5 to 2 chunks. This is enough to keep the lights on and to keep the mobs away. In this corner here we have our oil system. So again, these blocks can be silk touched, and you need a block, I think it's 5x5 of them. Well, that doesn't look 5x5, that looks it's 5x5, but it looks 3 deep. You feed this, I feed it manually every so often, Fluidux, which kickstarts the system off, and our oil is then beaten down into different liquids for our system, some of which is recycled out and voided. So we use a system of portable tanks as filters on the tops. I was still in the process of converting all this over to the newer pipes, which are better for this because they don't hold liquid. As you can see here, this has liquid inside the pipe, so nothing else can actually go in that pipe. What's that? Gas residuals, yeah. So it looks like our gas residuals are backed up. In this section here we have our industrial furnaces which produce our alloys. Not all alloys are produced like this. So for instance here we have our purified copper. The method for producing purified copper actually outputs iron ore waste as a, yeah, there you see, it's made 1 and 1 as a byproduct. That's why that's in there. My iron ore waste must be full over here. And then our assemblies, the heart and crux of this whole operation. So the front row here is all the bottles, and these are output into these chests, and that's the storage from which logistic pipes takes the bottles, ships them to the laboratories to make the actual research. This one here is for manual usage, but as you can see here we are producing pretty much everything. That's really not part of the factory system, but we are producing everything via these assemblies, and the storage for these are in the machines themselves. These aren't pulled out unless they are needed. Some cases, like the Fluidux, where we need a lot more, they are piped out to chests, so some have chests and some do not. These large engines take a long time for the assembly to process, so we keep a storage of those. And rifle rounds are always useful. For some reason I chose to put this one in the floor. So where I want an extra stack like the circuit ones, I will not pull out from this output box, but I'll pull out from the single spot chest. So we always have a backup system. This single spot chest here is the charcoal needed by the second logistics pipes network. So this is always kept full, and then it's pulled from to feed these blast furnaces. And you'll see on our storage here, the output from the ore washers and these furnaces is separate to the, sorry, the input is separate to the output system. So this is logistics network number 2, the large one, and this is the ore processing logistics pipe network. So they are not connected together, they are separate. So when that happens, all these dusts here won't be pulled out back into the furnaces. And that's how I manage the ingot and dust system. So let's talk about laboratories. These in the current new version are broken because these antenna dishes are XNet, and XNet is removed from the pack. in the latest update, so that breaks the observatories. But we shan't discuss that. We have our titanium producing system just here. And here we have a little trick to maintain a full saline water tank and then void the rest. So by using the input into this portable tank, we have a comparator which turns on when there is a significant amount of saline in this tank. But we can see this if we turn one of these valves off. There we go. If I flick that off, you will see that saline water comes in, the comparator turns on, and that flicks this valve and allows the saline water into this trash bin. But that allows for a significant drop into this tank, so this always maintains full. We have our mushroom farms inside here. They're encased so they run all day and all night. Otherwise they will only run at night. And with two stacked on top of each other. These produce mushrooms, which are then in turn pulled out, I believe, into this one. Yep. And this produces low-acting radaway, which is piped out into this tank. And then we produce from that radaway. Now, currently I've not been online for some time, so the radaway system takes a while to catch up. They're currently being pumped into 3 scrubbers. And you can see there it's not quite full, so it's playing catch up. The other 2 being in the nuclear section, which is on an offshoot over there. And as you can see from the NRADs in the bottom left corner, we maintain an N number. So it's an NRAD number throughout the base. This goes for everywhere. Including our 2 scrubbed chunks, this one here being the AP. And that is a horrific noise from a mob somewhere that I can't find. I think he's under the floor somewhere. Oh, yeah, down here somewhere. By the sounds of that. And that concludes our base tour. I hope you enjoyed the video. The pack is nowhere near complete, by the way, it's still in development. So stay tuned for more updates.